big week.
It has.
Crazy week.
Yeah.
It's been a small week.
Yeah.
Been a small, yeah.
Well,
I feel like you're just going to challenge everything that Dan says tonight.
I'm
That's why
feeling
you're here.
feisty, baby. I'm feeling
lit.
You know, this is
the trend.
This is your fault. You brought Tony on board. This is just what we do to each other, man. We're like two best friends who just go at each other, dude.
100%. It's about to be like that. I was so, dude. All I could put down there, because Dan hadn't said anything about you being here, right? Publicly.
Oh
So
no!
All I could put down.
Did we just invite a blood and a crypt to the
I
show?
didn't want to blow up the spot, right? Because I'm super excited because I love Aura, and already knows. You know what I'm saying? I got massive amounts of love for Aura. Super excited to be here. Like, as soon as Dan said Aura's gonna be here as well, like, it was just automatic. Like, my finger went to the okay. You know,
Glad I didn't cancel tonight.
It was just like, I don't care. I'm okay, you know. And so, like, all I could put down on my tweet was just like special guests, and I just put some eyes right there because, you know, I couldn't blow up the spot or whatnot. But yeah, I'm super excited.
Oh, we're super excited to have you here. Welcome, gentlemen, to episode 247 of the Planet Destiny podcast. We are back to talk about some of the biggest bits of news that have happened in the world of Destiny this week, and what a week it has been. Joining us today is our usual roundtable of hosts, starting with the man, the myth, the salt himself, Aura. Would you like to respond to Tony here?
What? I am a bundle of joy, dude. I am the happiest person on the planet.
Yes.
On Earth.
On Earth.
Happiest.
This Earth. Well, we're happy to have you here. Dan, man, it's good to see you, buddy.
Hi, good to see anybody.
Yeah.
True.
Yeah,
true.
you're right about
Anybody,
that. You're right about that.
And also, more exclusively, you guys. I've got to say that.
Keeping it
Glad
tight.
to be here.
Right on. Of course, I am the Black Link, and our special guest tonight is the one, the only, the ill one himself, Physics. Welcome to the show.
I feel like I've been hyped up like way too much. You know, I continue to get gassed up out here. Welcome everybody. My name is illPhysics, otherwise known as Tony, or just Physics, and I'm really happy to be here with everybody here tonight. Particularly my main man Aura over there, who was one of my inspirations as far as streaming. So, so it looks like it's definitely gonna be a spicy evening.
It's water. I'm drinking water. It's water, everybody. Relax.
I feel like having to put a qualifier on it like that, it leaves it a bit dubious.
I had a beer at 11:30. My wife looked at me a certain way. I'm never having an 11:30 beer ever again. That's out. That ship has sailed. It was a one-time thing. It was great, but that's never happening again.
What kind of beer was it though? Breakfast
Dude,
stout?
Listen, I haven't had. All right, I've had a couple of beers since March, but I have not had many, and I haven't had Flying Dog Brewery beer in like a year. And so our neighbor went and got me a pack because I don't go out because of what's going on. I don't go out.
No.
So he went and got me a case of Flying Dog Bloodline, and it is delicious, and I enjoyed it very, very much. I was very happy.
At 11 o'clock in the morning.
11:30. I was up since 4. Okay, listen, I've been up since 4. It's Sunday. It's the weekend. I'm not pouring it in my Cheerios. I'm not pouring a bowl of Cheerios and putting beer in it and eating it like that. All right, I'm not going anywhere. I was in Crucible shooting people. I was doing some reckoning stuff for Triumph Score. I was a responsible adult. I can have an 11:30 beer.
Reckoning. I don't know if that qualifies as responsible. I think that actually goes under the self-harm category. Last time I checked the psychology books. Do we need to talk? Was there a reason you had a beer at 11 in the morning?
I just decided last night I was like, I'm having a beer at 11. I don't care what happens. Now, chat derailed things. It had to go to 11:30, but I had an 11:30 beer.
Fair.
Confession.
I respect.
It's Idea Prone's fault. He has 11:30 beers all the time. Anyway.
Difference is those are PM.
There's a triumph for doing the Reckoning Tier 3 bridge without using a super. I grabbed Polar Bear, Shagzamatic, and Skull King. We banged that out real quick before I just so I don't have to worry about it again. So real easy. Easy day. It was Void Singe Grenadier. So it was easy clap.
Yeah, true. Yeah.
That'll do it. Well, right on, Tony, man. Like, of course, you are our guest here tonight. We're super happy to have you here. But for those in the audience who might not be affiliated with you, what is it that you do? Who is the illPhysics?
Who is the illPhysics? Oh man, see, this is what we've been making our rounds, so I've got it all written down.
Prepared. I like that.
Man, I'm telling you, man. It's been crazy. It's been crazy. Been really blessed to be able to, be here, be everywhere, and have a voice and have a platform to be able to talk about things that I feel like are pretty important in the community right now. But also, we just love Destiny. I love Destiny PvP. That is my main shtick. And I've been playing, I would say, at a fairly high level for a while now. And so if you're not following me, it's over at twitch.tv/illPhysics, ILLPhysics, no space, no underscore. And it's the same on Twitter as well. I'm pretty vocal, pretty active on Twitter. I think a lot of you will probably realize that by now. So on my channel, you can generally expect a lot of PvP, decent amount of PvE as well. I love the entire game. I'm not one of those PvP players and I'm not knocking anybody. Play the game how you want. I'm just saying that myself, I enjoy. I think there was a conversation at some point in time. I think yesterday I was watching Guardian Royale with James Work, and they were having a conversation about light level, power level, and whether PvP power level enabled playlists should exist. And if they do, then should it just be based on base power level like it is right now, or should it be based on the artifact and things like that? And I was saying myself that I don't like the artifact power level, but I do like the base power level because it encourages us PvP players to go and experience that beautiful world of PvE, which arguably is better and always has been better than the PvP aspect of it, just based on the resources that they poured into it, obviously. And so it encourages, whenever there's crossover like that, it encourages everybody to kind of dip their toes in things that they are maybe a little uncomfortable with, and that sort of thing. So anyway, that's how I actually got into PvE myself, and I've loved it ever since. And so there'll be a decent amount of PvE as well. We'll have like a raid night or something along that line. I have some in real life friends that are new light players that I hit up my buddy and I was just like, hey, you should maybe play this game I've been playing almost exclusively for the last 5 years. And he was just like, he jumped on it. I was like, oh, I should have told you this 5 years ago, bro. I didn't know you were just gonna be like, he just downloaded the game like right there, got his brothers involved, And so I think tonight actually I'm gonna have the opportunity to take them through the Leviathan for the first time. It's also the raid that I know the most of the mechanics. Otherwise, if it ends up being like, a raid layer or something like that, I'll have to get like CWG or somebody else in there to help me out. Some raid god Sherpa type individual. But we do a decent amount of PvE as well, but it's mainly focused on PvP, which is, I'm a super competitive individual, and that's what I've been focusing most of my time and energy on for the last several years. But otherwise, the main aspect of the channel, just overall, is just interaction. If I wanted to play the game and only play the game, then I wouldn't be streaming. And so I'm a pretty extroverted person. Have a large network outside of the game, and it naturally transfers over to the communities that I'm involved with regards to gaming. And that's my main focus whenever I stream is interaction. So I'm trying not to ever miss a message. I'm trying to always make sure that I respond substantially to folks. Anybody, it doesn't matter. Sub, follower, new follower, old follower, it literally does not matter. And I guess I'm aided as well by the fact that I have a pretty good memory. So I'm able to remember most details about people and their lives and their tags or whatever else. Unless you got a really dark, I could talk forever. I'm sorry. Unless you have a really dark, tag on Twitch, I keep everything in dark mode. Please lighten that shit up. I'm 37 years old, man. My eyes aren't quite as good as they used to be. Please, But interaction is the key of my channel 100% more than anything else. And the last thing that, folks probably, a lot of folks at this point probably know about is I'm pretty vocal, and I like to use my platform in order to talk about, injustice that's going on, whether it be in our community or whether it be in the wider, world and that sort of thing. And I'm just I feel really validated. I feel really happy, really fulfilled that people are allowing me that platform to speak out on these things. And I take that responsibility very, very, very seriously. So that's what you can expect.
Well, right on. I do believe that's probably the most perfect introduction we've ever gotten from anybody.
Thanks, everybody. Thanks for watching.
Stop gassing me up. I'm going to go get some water. I'll be right back.
Right on, man.
Man, I need
again, big ups to Tony for joining.
I need to get some scorecards. Just to rate.
Like
10.
the emote, like
That was
the
10.
Eververse emote.
That was
Yeah.
a 10.
That was a 10
That was pretty good,
introduction there. Yeah.
Yeah.
So Aura, so obviously there's some back and forth going on between y'all two. You guys know each other. You guys seem to like each other. How'd you meet? How did you
I'm
meet?
pretty
Tony?
sure I vooped him in Crucible, and I'm pretty sure he bagged me. We'll have to get confirmation from Tony on that one, but I'm pretty sure we met because we were going. This was back in BNet days.
How many
before
kills
Steam.
did you have on your rental that day?
I probably
That's how
probably
we'll
sub
know.
20,000. It was probably less than 20K. We've known each other for a bit, and I'm pretty sure it was me vooping him being like, "This kid, he's getting the bags," and then him bag. I'm pretty sure that's what it was, honestly. But like, it was a friendly back and forth. It wasn't like this hostile, what happened this weekend kind of thing. And I've met a lot of people that way. It's actually brought me better friends than it has greater enemies. But so I'm pretty sure we just started playing against each other. And like, as when you were on BNet and it was connection-based matchmaking, you matched people who were close to you often. I could set a clock to the days I would match Rec, for instance, REC_. I'd match him at like 2:00 every day. Like, I knew when I was going to play against him. And Physics was the same way because Tony's pretty close to me too. So like, I just got used to seeing this guy's name every time we played. Every time we played, I was like, this guy's pretty good. This guy's pretty good. So I'm pretty sure that's what it was. I didn't get any clips off Guardian Theater of him running his mouth though. So that date is long far gone.
Oh no, you say it's long far gone, but I swear to God, I'll go clip something today, bro. I got something for you, you know. Like I gotta, like, every time I see you on Twitter and you say something about that Airtel, man, it's just the PTSD comes out, man. I want to say something, but you know. So I got something for you. Don't worry. Just check it. You'll be able to click something.
Your name's on that
Time's
gun
not
more
over.
times than I care to mention.
Oh my God. I'm always just like, yo, I can challenge him. I got him. I got the 3 tap, zoop. And I'm like, all right, well,
Aaron Till.
35,001.
Aaron Till, bringing families together since what? 2016. All right, so Tony, you're a PvP guy. There's been a lot of big things going on in PvP really since Season of Arrivals went live. How has your experience in the Crucible been, especially since Bungie made the change to matchmaking?
So I think I play PvP so much. We only get a limited amount of communication from Bungie with regards to what's going on with matchmaking.
Yeah.
And I truly feel like matchmaking, based on, and this is not just my experience, even though I'm in the Crucible almost every day. You know, I try to gauge input from a variety of different folks, whether it be, you know, folks that, you know, dip their feet in casual play every once in a while, or folks like me that play almost every day. And so it seems like the matchmaking, it doesn't seem like it's static. I just want to go ahead and just get some context here. It doesn't seem like it's static in the sense that it's always the same level of connection-based matchmaking, or, you know, because it seems like it's on a spectrum, right? You know, connection-based over here, skill-based over here, and it just seems like, you know, it floats a little bit, you know? And when we see it, so for example, when they turned off skill-based matchmaking, I think I do agree. I feel like the majority of it was skewed towards connection-based, with the exception of one playlist, which was Classic.
Mm-hmm.
And in Classic, I felt like it was about the same, actually.
Yeah.
And most people most people generally agree with that feeling, you know, that we had about that. Lately, I feel like it's actually been sliding a little bit more and more back towards skill-based matchmaking. And the reason, you know, again, the reason why I ask a bunch of people, especially people along the skill spectrum, is because I might feel it a little bit differently towards, you know, maybe the, you know, more skilled side of the spectrum, or the person that fucking plays like way too much side of the spectrum, versus someone that just kind of dips their feet in the water like a few times a week or whatnot. So they might feel the skill-based or the connection-based like differently than I would. But either way, to go back to your question, as far as specifically the matchmaking changes, man, it's beautiful. It's whenever it's closer to this connection-based, it's just like everybody has the same gameplay experience, you know, as far as how we interact with other Guardians in the Crucible. And that should be paramount above anything else, that
100%.
everybody gets to play Destiny the way that it's intended to be played, that gameplay experience. And when some of us get that love, feel that love from Bungie with regards to that gameplay experience that we've seen before, felt before, have gotten high off before. And others, don't get that because it's always a laggy, tug of war, against almost every person in the lobby. And, the majority of the time you're playing against people that are nowhere near you. We're not talking about, I live on the East Coast. We're not talking about Cali. We're talking about Korea. We're talking about
right.
We're talking about Japan. We're talking about China. We're talking about Singapore. We're talking about OCE. Like it's just like, and when we, because it's not just a me thing. They're playing against me as well. When we have to play against those folks, preferentially, it's not as Destiny is intended. It's a mess. It's a mess, and then on top of the fact that we as a whole community wise, especially on PC specifically where I play, have to deal with cheating. On top of that, it's just it's demoralizing is what it ends up becoming. So I've always said that I am personally for skill-based matchmaking, but only when it doesn't, when connections aren't sacrificed to the degree that they have been for the last several years. Because I love sweating. I will always sweat, I will always sweat. That's fine. I enjoy pulling out like an auto rifle from time to time and not my hand cannon and stuff like that. Auto rifles are really strong. You can still sweat with that just fine.
They're
But
good,
all I'm saying is I enjoy also, of course, like playing with off meta weapons every once in a while or this and that and kind of just going in and vibing. I don't have to win every game. I don't have to win any game, but in the end, for me personally, and not speaking for anybody else, I enjoy the sweat like every game, but I do not enjoy the lackluster connections that go along with skill based when we're talking about P2P and however they've ended up implementing it, over the last several years. So connection based for sure. Just go ahead and move that back and just leave it there.
It's like when you think about what the most satisfying feature of this game is, what makes it stand apart from so many other games out there, it's the shooting aspect. This is one of the best feeling shooters I've ever played. Oh yeah. And it's 5-6 years old and still feels that way, right? We're not talking about a brand new game fresh off the market. We're talking about half a decade of this vibe. And when that is taken away because of the connection issues, you're taking away the best, most satisfying part of the game itself. So whatever keeps that moving forward, I mean, even if you're not a great player, it still feels good to see your bullet go where you've shot it, Yeah. No doubt. Regardless of your skill level, to know that you're shooting at something and the bullet is actually going in that direction, in my opinion, anyway. So, like, I've played a ton of classic mix. I can't tell a difference. I'm not playing god tier players where I feel like I'm playing people from all over the world. I've only played a little bit of comp. I've played trials, which was win based, no real issues with there either. And I played one classic or one. Is it classic? Yeah, classic mixes that there was supposedly mix. A little bit of it, and I couldn't tell. I wasn't blown away by
supposedly.
Right. I mean, the other thing is like, what are people doing right now? We're at a very odd spot in Destiny, where a few weeks removed from the first Iron Banner event, where there's nothing really to chase out in Crucible other than that +1 pinnacle, and some bounties for XP, and at the very same time, you've got raids that are farmable, and so like. You've got a lot of people that are doing a lot of other things, which could be causing some of the connection-based matchmaking to move a little bit more in one direction. Not because it's heavily weighted towards skill; it's because there's just less players in the pool in general. There's just not as many people at any given time. So,
right. And speaking of player numbers, I know we were tracking that a couple of weeks ago when it came to Iron Banner, because there was a lot of buzz about there being more players in Crucible than generally had ever been recorded, at least in Destiny 2. I kept up with those numbers for a week or so afterwards, and I don't know how they're standing right now. But do you think that there is maybe a lessening population issue in Crucible right now? Or do you think that maybe matchmaking is changing? Is it both?
You've got a looter shooter.
Yep.
And a whole lot of loot. That's actually going to be coming forward in terms of your armor and what we don't know about transmog yet. There's just, and this isn't a bad thing. There's just more to do in places that aren't Crucible.
Yeah.
So your only people that are doing it are people that are grinding out your bounties for XP, your daily weeklies, or your weeklies that people are storing for November, your pinnacle, your +1 pinnacle, and then, but there's no weapon in Shax's loophole. It's like, I got to get a Steel Sybil with Whirlwind, Relentless, Balanced Guard and Jagged Edge. Like that's because honestly, God, it's not a bad DPS weapon. It's just outshined by whatever the void exotic
guillotine.
is now.
Falling
You know,
guillotine.
yeah, that's it. You know, so there's nothing to be chasing after, and we've got a weekend with trials. It's like the 8th, 9th, 10th version of trials we're getting. Most people already have that loot if it's what they're after.
Yeah.
You know, the thing about Destiny is a lot of people don't do something for fun. They do it for reward. And then they go do their thing for fun. And I just don't know that Crucible is fun for an awful lot of people outside of the competitive community, the ones who want to play well, improve, and teabag me.
So,
Aura.
assuming that you could make changes moving forward, and then in the next season, you know, when Beyond Light comes out, what would you do to alleviate that problem? How would you get people back into the Crucible?
Kick it to Tony first, because I probably got a long-winded on that.
I'll go for it. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm liking the long-winded. I'll just follow up.
So, for if what we're seeing right now in exotics like Witherhoard and Ruinous Effigy are to continue, and Bungie kind of unleashing the chains of holding back, I guess, like holding back on what weapons are capable of, and the preview of Stasis that we saw, I don't know what Crucible is going to look like in November, let alone know how to put players in that environment. Because if this is an indication, I think we're going to start to see a significant movement towards the power fantasy and away from the gunplay. So to get players back in, I don't know, but I would be lying to you if I thought this game is going to perform in Crucible the same way in November that it does right now. I have a funny feeling there's going to be some pretty dramatic changes to how the game plays.
Okay. I agree with Aura. I am. It's the abilities that I'm concerned about that I saw in the most recent trailer. You know, that kind of speaks to what Aura just said. Now, two things. You know, like one is, you know, our assumptions about what's going to happen in November. And so I'll speak to that first. And so that's what we were talking about with Aura. And so the abilities that left me at pause a little bit. The weapons. So we're talking about Witherhoard. We're talking about what's the trace rifle called again?
Ruinous Effigy.
Ruinous
Effigy. Those aren't super strong in the Crucible. Am I correct in saying that? Or like I wouldn't consider those like super strong. They're annoying at times. But
They're
I
annoying.
I haven't personally like had an issue with them because, especially now this is on PC where movement is like really everything. Like you can really zoom and get places. So I can avoid a lot of those things, especially Witherhoard. I thought that they actually brought out Witherhoard in a great state. It is the shit in PvE. I love it. It was my new favorite like PvE weapon. But in PvP it didn't break the game. And that is a I got to applaud Bungie on that personally from my perspective, because that is a really hard balance to strike. And as always, in my opinion, I guess been the hardest balance to strike with regards to introduction of new weapons. So do you feel like that those two are anything more than annoying in the Crucible for you, Aura?
A good player with a grenade launcher makes a really bad day for a lot of people. And your buddy Mountaintop Max can attest to that.
Okay, but I was talking about those two specific. Now, I was going to come back around to that, of course, but I was talking about those two specific weapons.
Right. So they don't break Crucible, but I can't sit here and say that nothing changed about it. Like when you're talking about Iron Banner or any game mode that requires you to stand in one spot and you've got a gun that not only can kill on direct impact, but can poison that entire spot. Yeah, I have no problem jumping up and getting off of it, but now the objective is compromised. And that player has bought time to perhaps have a really powerful primary shot. Now I'm in midair, virtually defenseless on controller because interaction just doesn't exist whether you have Icarus or not. So no, it didn't break the game, but it changed it. And that's kind of my point. Isn't that it's going to break things. My thought process is that it's going to be changed so significantly that gunplay might not be, or gunplay as we know it might not be carried the same way. Like we've got a gun that creates a crazy poison floor that a lot of players actually don't pay attention to, take damage to, and die from anyway.
Right.
If people who are unaware have a hard time with that. And you've got a gun that turns people into golf balls or Pokeballs that can block damage, absorb damage, slam. Now, like, it's not, that isn't really a big deal, but if I don't know how many really god tier players you've played with trace rifles, they're a nightmare.
Yeah.
We've got buds with Prometheus Lens, Cold Heart, and this is the same exact thing. Trace rifle is a really good player with a trace rifle is absurd to play against. That thing kills immediately. And I think what's going on is we just haven't seen anybody harness that yet. There's other options. The special ammo economy is a little goofy with it, but again, my point is, this is just the beginning of the doors that Bungie's going to start to open. You know.
Okay. So convince me. Yeah, I'm in line with that most definitely. So that's the all right, he got me. I'm just listening. So that's the assumptions, going forward based on what we've seen. Now back it up a little bit. PvP, the PvP that we do know and the things that we do need to address. Now we're talking about, again, like on PC, but I guess you can extend this to console with regards to DDoSing. The cheating has got to be addressed so substantially that it's as if it just didn't even exist to the degree that it does now. There'll always be cheating in FPSs. That's just going to be a thing, of course. I mean, especially on PC in particular, right? But it's just like, this is out of control. It's
huge. Yeah.
It is out of control. So many different ways you can cheat too. Like, we're not just talking about one program. We're not just talking about perfect aim. Some people have a variety of different methods by which they're cheating. It's just like, it's the whole door, the whole box, Pandora's box is open right now. And so that's the first thing that's got to change with PvP. And I don't know what my expectations are with that, but nonetheless, that's one thing they need to continue. I think they need to continue to look at matchmaking. Ensure integrity of connections, therefore ensuring integrity of gameplay, along with addressing the cheating and the DDoSing if we're talking about console. And those are the two biggest things. I mean, and you got to keep in mind too, matchmaking is not just about sliding spectrum between connection based and skill based. It's also thinking about population numbers and how many playlists we have available to us in the Crucible as well. Why do we have so many? What is all this? What is this? I click on like two things. I click on private matches more than I'll ever click on some of these other things up there. My man Anubis is forever trying to get me to go into Scorch. And I'm just like, bro, Anubis, get away from me with this. If you're in the chat, get away with this. I don't want to play Scorch, man. We were raiding last night, and he literally, like, I thought we were about to get into a raid. We had a scheduled time, and this man's driving me into Scorch, just one, and I can't do his British accent, but just one, Tony. And I'm just like, come on, man, I'm trying to go. My point is, like, that's like the first time I've dipped my feet into Scorched in like 3 years. Like, I understand, and I agree with a rotating weekly playlist. That's dope. That's a good idea, But it's just like, what's all this other stuff, man? Let's condense this down, or something along that line. So, there's a variety of different factors with regards to matchmaking. The two biggest ones, of course, is that sliding scale, and then you just need to be looking at the population, which, of course, feeds into how many playlists we have available and how we're splitting that population among the PvP community. But yeah. Going forward, like I said, going backwards, what we know, and going forward, assuming, I think R really spoke to that really well. So those are my thoughts.
I guess my thing with the cheating is, as Tony said, you've got perfect aim, which is an aimbot that automatically snaps to your opponent's head. You've got wall hacks that give you the ability to see through walls, like spectral blades, but like the entire time that you're playing the game.
Yep.
You've got toggles for aimbots, which has been, I learned more about toggles that didn't even exist than just my word, the knowledge I have now. And then there's like infinite super, infinite power, like all of these other wacky, crazy things that you'll see. And it's not just in trials, it's in comp, if anything more so than it's in trials, is in the competitive game mode, which is problematic because I'm still looking for that shot to go solo 0 to 5,500. And it's just like, it's infuriating, and it's debilitating, and it's demoralizing when there's so many things that you really enjoy and really want to test, and there's no way to do it because somebody paid $50 on eBay for a Luna's Howl or whatever's going on out there right now, and the people that are doing it are just trying to be as efficient as possible, so they're using every trick under the sun. And it makes you wonder if Bungie should be more open about how many numbers of accounts they ban. You know, there was that point in time when we were going into the Bungie forums and reading the people who got banned and didn't understand why. Like the guy who was running the
Yeah.
Roblox hack in the background was like,
Right.
I was only hacking in Roblox. See, what do you mean? Like, so like,
Yeah.
like that was, and I feel like the cloud kind of like lifted from the community a little bit when that was going on. I don't know if that's good for the long play, but if Bungie security had their own Twitter and they were like, we have removed this number of accounts from the game, it would always be met by, but what about the guy with the 10,000 KD? Like,
Yeah.
it's never going to be good enough until it's 100%. But you wonder if what they're doing or being open about is enough at this point.
And also, of course, you know, once you put a game on Steam, on PC, especially in a free-to-play format, you're opening it up to abuse from people who do that kind of thing. And of course, wall hacks and aimbots have been a thing on FPS games since they began. So I do hope Bungie figures out a way to address that in a better fashion, because right now it's ridiculous. Crucible is a grab bag.
The only place that all of these things might be remedied, nobody wants to go to, and that's Stadia.
Oh.
I don't know enough about Stadia to know what the experience would be like there.
No, well, I'm listening.
Well, I mean, so like you don't have connections.
I don't want to make it too spicy out here, man. I'm just trying to keep it like medium spicy, man. Like I don't want to make it too.
Just a fun show.
It's
just
a
pub.
listening. Yeah,
This is just a pub.
I'm trying to listen. I'm trying to be receptive.
I think so, because you basically have no control over other than your connection to Stadia, right? Like it is the service, it is the whole thing. You have nothing on your end except for your direct internet connection. That's probably the only thing that would be mitigating, like that you can mitigate against it.
Yeah.
And
no access
there wouldn't
to the
be
client.
DDoSing. I don't know that the hacks would work, right?
I wouldn't.
But from what I've been told is that sometimes the hit registration and the communication back and forth might not be the greatest in like a Crucible environment. In PvE, you know, it's whatever. But I truly don't know enough. It's the only platform I don't own Destiny 2 on is Stadia.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I'm the same. I don't know enough about it. You know, I just know not a lot of people are on it.
You're also capped at 60 frames, right?
I think so.
I can't do that.
I think so.
I can't.
Now.
I can't be capped at 60 frames. That's
Come on,
way
leave me
too
alone.
few for
Yes,
me.
Okay, sure. It sounded a bit elitist. Yes, Dad. Goddamn. Yes. Can I make a bit small? I'm sorry. Okay. It was a bit elitist. Yes. Okay.
But was it
also-
wrong?
No.
Thank you.
No. It wasn't
Come on,
wrong.
dog. You know, when all I'm saying is, side note, if folks are still playing at 60 or 30, man, once you go from like, of course, 30 to 60, it's crazy. Once you go from 60 to 44, it's still kind of crazy. You know, anything beyond that is just like you don't really notice it that much. So it's just like if I had to go back to 60, especially, you know, trying to play competitively, it's just it'd be rough.
Yeah.
But
The first time I played PC, I rolled up to a captain on the EDZ at Trosslin, and he did that little like shade step dodge maneuver, and I saw the entire thing happen, the whole motion beginning to end, and I was like,
Whoa.
holy shit. Like what? And like that was it. Like, so I get it. I mean, if you have the opportunity to up your frame rate, you see this game in a beauty that was not there on, like, that move's been around since captains were captains. It's not new. You just never actually got to see the full like ballerina twirl until you had the higher frame rate. So my question is, if we're moving to this next gen consoles, your PS20 and your Xbox One XC3, whatever the hell it is, Xbox Cubed, I don't even know, and you're getting 60 frames, is it tempting enough to go back to console if it's mouse and keyboard supported?
I think for some people, yeah. And, you know, you're touching on a bit of news that dropped this week with the Xbox event that we had earlier in the week. They talked about a lot of things. We got to learn some fantastic news about Destiny 2 and its upcoming DLC. It's going to be a part of the Xbox Game Pass. So people who are engaging in Microsoft's premium game subscription are going to get access to Destiny 2, all of its premium DLC, everything except the season pass, I want to say. And they also announced that you're going to get all of that as part of the Game Pass, which is, I think, the cheapest is if you get Game Pass on PC. I think it's like $4.99 right now,
Possibly.
a month. And then console is like $9.99. But if you want the Game Pass Ultimate, which covers both PC games and Xbox games, it's like $14.99. So it's your standard MMO subscription fare, and you get access to games like Halo Infinite. There's going to be a new Halo that's coming out. Destiny 2 Beyond Light is going to be there. So it's a pretty good deal for those who are on the Game Pass. But they also announced that the Xbox is going to be able to run Destiny 2 at 60 FPS, which is going to be a huge benefit for you console players out there who are playing on the Xbox One right now and have to deal with the game at 30 FPS. It's like a completely different experience playing it beyond 30.
Did they mention anything about the field of view?
I think they did. I think they mentioned that you will be able to increase the field of view.
I didn't see that, but
beautiful.
I didn't see that, but a lot of comments I had seen were that, like, as long as it's above, what is it, 75 on console right now?
Yeah, it's real.
They were like,
low.
as long as it's above 75, like even 90 or whatever, and 60 frames, most people are going to be satisfied. And if you are a console player and going to be making that upgrade, I am so freaking happy that you'll have the opportunity to see just how gorgeous this game really is and what Bungie really put into it. Because like the art staff and the music team, they always crush it. They always knock it out of the park. But so few people have really been able to embrace that outside of like your still shot, you're still whatever it is, still frames or whatever, your screenshots and whatnot. And you'll finally get to see that in like a full motion, which I think is going to be exceptional for people. Even from a broadcasting perspective, from native broadcast, if it has the Twitch app, like just think about like console content creators and how vastly improved that presentation is going to be for viewership. Like this is a big deal, and I couldn't be happier. I'm sorry it took this long, but this is huge. Like this is really, really, really important.
Yeah. It's huge for the community as well, because with this style of service, our population is going to grow.
Absolutely.
Remember when everybody was like, "Oh man, when this goes to PC, it's going to explode," and it did. This is that next stage of it, and the only other thing that I can see improving it is when crossplay comes around.
Yeah, I'm ready.
This is definitely a step in that direction, like a pretty substantial step in that direction, 100%. And definitely to add on, I mean, I can't. I know all of us, we cannot impress enough, on console people, how beautiful this game is on PC. It is striking. It is striking when you switch over. Like it is striking. So I'm super excited, and I'm definitely, Dan's right. I'm super excited for crossplay. Super excited for crossplay. And so I just want console to make sure that integrity is there of the gameplay, so that I'm not just so easily shitting on console players. I want you to be able to compete too. I'm pretty sure you'll have M&K access as well with the next gem. So come see me. It'll be fun. But like anything that drives
dial me up.
Dial me up. Come see me, man. Anything that drives the population up, man, and improves the overall gameplay experience is just going to be a plus for us as a community, but I mean also us as dedicated almost everyday players as well. It's going to be I'm super excited.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a really great announcements out of Microsoft this week when it comes to Destiny 2 and certainly its future. We got a lot of cool things to look forward to there. But it wasn't the only bit of news that we got, because of course Bungie decided to put out a trailer showing off the new subclass element, Stasis, that we as Guardians will be able to engage with in Destiny 2 Beyond Light, which also got delayed. We didn't have a show last week, so we didn't get a chance to talk about it. Beyond Light got pushed back from its initial release date of September 22nd this year to November 10th. That's a pretty hefty delay.
Yeah.
Which give them all the time they need to make sure
you need.
Yeah, please.
Take it.
100%.
6 more weeks on to the season.
Yeah. But that's what I'm worried about. Like, I'm happy that they're going to be taking the time they need to make sure Beyond Light drops in the correct fashion, perfectly working with everything that they want it to be. But how in the world are they going to keep you playing for 6 weeks
Yeah.
in the season of Arrivals? What do they do with that?
They could barely keep people playing during the season of the Worthy.
Oh,
There
gosh,
toward the
yeah.
end.
Yeah, that was
And
rough.
This one, I will say,
There's
this
a lot
season
to
has
do.
been better though.
There's
Absolutely.
there's a couple things in play that are going to keep people playing, and one of them is sunsetting.
Mhm.
The fact that all of your gear is going to be sunset is going to give you a reason to go out and look for armor sets to keep your armor moving forward, to grind out the raid armor that's going to move forward as well, and the weapons. It's going to want you to gather some of the old equipment, because we still don't know how transmog's going to work, whether we have to have this stuff in our active in our vault or on our characters, or if it can work from collections. And so, like, you've got moments of triumph or whatever we're dealing with right now, where all of the old raids you got to go back and get for the seals. There's literal planets and moons that are being removed from the gaming space. So there's collections items that are going to be gone for the foreseeable future. There's a lot to do if you enjoy playing the game and want to get it done. There's a lot of triumph score that's locked behind what's going on with this stuff. There's a ton of menagerie that's going to be going away. There's a ton of lore and collections items and triumph score that's locked up in that. So there's honest to God, them pushing it back to November as the completionist in me kind of starts to come out. Like, I'm a little bit relieved, because I haven't really grinded my power level to do the Grandmaster Nightfalls yet.
Good luck.
Yeah, I want as many of the collections and raid armor pieces as I can get, and I want all of these things. I want my collections to look good so I can get invited to Bungie, right? So, because I hear that if you have like a max triumph score and collections completed, you get invited to Bungie. So that's like, by the way, I'm kidding. This is just a meme that I literally say every broadcast.
It's true.
Like,
It's true.
I say this every single day. But like, these are just things that I want to be able to, because everyone thinks, well, I don't even know what people think of me, but I think I'm mostly associated with Crucible. As someone who plays a lot of Crucible. So when you see my triumph scores in the 115,000s and my collections are like 97% complete, and I've got all of the titles, like, so that's kind of like, I'm happy that Bungie recognized that they need more time, considering they're all working remotely. I can't believe they're still making a video game.
Yeah.
So anybody out there has something negative to say, I want. Oh God, there's my filter. I'm not going to say.
Hold it.
Medium
Filter.
spicy. Medium.
Anyone who has a problem with it, filtered Aura speaks, and then just understand that people's lives are at stake here. Everyone, like, people's lives are at stake. They can take a month and a half to deliver a quality product remotely, while keeping themselves and those around them safe.
Right.
Yeah.
So take all the time you need, Bungie. Take as much time as you need to deliver a quality product. It looks really good.
It does.
I have a question. Do you think the season comes the same day as game drop?
Oh,
Why
absolutely.
Yeah. Why wouldn't
Absolutely.
it?
I have a funny feeling that they would coincide with each other. It's like the way the Shadowkeep and Season of Undying did.
Yeah.
Because there is a differentiation there that my brain still has a hard time understanding, that Season of Undying and Shadowkeep are two separate things.
Yeah.
So you could see the season, because they did say that they were going to deliver some things earlier along the way, as it progresses. So you could see this season drop before, as long as there's actually valid separation between the two. And hopefully,
that's a really good point. Actually, I didn't think of it like that. It's a really good point, because what is that? 50 days or something like that.
Yeah.
The delay is 50 days. I imagine that they probably already had a timeline, ready for the season, right? At the very least, we're just talking about the season. You're right. I guess it could actually drop a little bit early, and if they did have the resources and the time and the energy, they could actually make something of it, in the sense of it could end up actually playing into Beyond Light, and getting us ready for Beyond Light. I mean, that'd be kind of the ideal situation too, because even the completionist and Aura may not be enough to keep Aura on the game as much. Like in those 50 days, and so also to speak to Aura above, so he was saying that the motivation to stick around and to continue to play, at whatever level you're playing at, but consistently through those extra 50 days is kind of like the completionist in him, but also the motivation behind losing access to these areas, and therefore losing access to the loot that's related to those areas, right? What I will say for me is I don't care. about any of that.
Yep.
So, I'm concerned about the people like me that just don't care. Now, the people exactly like me will continue to play because I'm addicted to PvP. That's just it.
Yeah.
And so I'll still find a way to do the exact same thing I've been doing with a hand cannon and a shotgun for the last I don't know how many years. But it's the people kind of in the middle. It's the people that are more or I mean, there's everybody's less casual than me. I mean, more casual than me because I play too much. But I'm just saying the people in the middle, basically, that I'm concerned about. The people that aren't completionists, the people that aren't motivated by sunsetting so much, or that already. I mean, I got all my warlock armor for PvP. Hi, Dad.
Bye, Dad.
Bye, Dad.
Yeah, he said, "I'm glad I have clothes on." Yes, Dad. We're all glad you have clothes on. God damn, Dad. Jesus. Yes. Oh boy. I need let me get that green screen, dog. Jesus, Dad.
Yeah, you're not using it, right?
Is there a dad behind there, Dan?
No.
Oh man.
Yeah, that's where we keep
No.
them. They're all behind the green screen.
Oh man. Oh yeah. See, Jane says Papa Physics.
All 7 of my dads are behind this thing.
So anyway, that's what I'm concerned about is the people that, aren't addicted like me to some degree to be on the game like every day. It doesn't really matter what happens for the most part. The people that, that are completionists are motivated by, things going away, access to certain areas, access to certain loot. Also, again, people like me that is motivated to some degree by sunsetting. I mean, I went into Leviathan literally one day, I think 1 or 2 raids, got all my warlock armor specifically, for the next season, for the next 3 seasons, so it's just like, I'm a little concerned about the people that are. Do you have something to say, or are you just gonna sit up there and just?
You as a top tree dog is just weird, man. It's just weird because you've been a hunter like forever, like for years.
Talking about how weird it is when he plays on hunter with the fusion for like 30,000 of his episodes. Then he switches over to a Titan with a wide mask.
Dude, everybody knows I'm weird, brother. It is a no secret. You top three dogs.
Why we're such good friends. There must be a reason why we're such good friends.
You gotta get my warlock armor.
Oh
like what? Anyway. No, I think you bring up a valid point, and I think that the important thing is that people don't have to play through November.
Right. There's gonna be a lot coming. Like, this pushing to November puts them right up against everything else. They had September all to them.
Now.
Yeah, all by themselves for a long time, and now they're gonna have some very stiff competition. If anything,
I'm honestly not concerned about that. Bungie's gonna bring it with this one.
Yeah,
like honestly, like everything we've seen, but also it being a September release, also it being like we're getting this instead of Destiny 3. Like there's literally everything in this that tells me this is about to be like some Taken King level shit.
Yeah.
So about this because go ahead.
No, I'm listening.
I was gonna say, like, didn't the Halo like Infinite trailer launch the same day that Bungie slapped people in the face with stasis?
Yeah,
and it was like everything Halo related disappeared from my Twitter feed, just gone with the wind, and all it was Destiny, stasis, whole still frame shots of weapons and enemies, and what the hell is that? Exactly. And like, dude, that's not coincidence.
Oh,
the people at Bungie are stupid.
Oh,
they said, "Oh, really, Halo?"
I was about to ask you, like, who dropped it first? What
Halo stuff.
Halo was right at the start of that reveal. Halo was right at the start.
Yeah,
and they showed gameplay, and it was interesting. I guess I've never finished a Halo, so
don't do it to it.
Throw your stones at me, please. And so. Then the Stasis trailer came up. I want to say like about an hour after that. I was like,
it was towards the end. Yeah.
Oh my.
Okay. I see you, Bungie.
That wasn't a mistake.
Right.
Yeah.
That was calculated. That was deliberate. That was very on purpose. And instantly everything disappeared. And it was only Bungie stuff on my timeline. And I've got some OG Halo players on my timeline that were talking about stasis. And then what's the other thing? You got Halo Infinite and Cyberpunk. Is that the ones that are going to be the heavy hitters around that time?
Cyberpunk's going to be
Cyberpunk. Yeah.
going to be interesting.
I feel like there's gonna be like one or two other things too, right? There's something else around that time.
Everything's kind of coming out in November. So you have the new console launches. You have Cyberpunk.
Yeah.
You have Destiny 2 coming to Xbox Game Pass, and as well as Beyond Light launching on November 10th. You have Halo
Presumably
Infinite.
Call of Duty.
Yeah, dude, you've got a lot.
Not like Madden anymore, dude. Like
Yeah.
what? It's just Call of Duty
Wait, say
3. It's like they changed the roster. You know, Tom Brady's on Tampa now in Call of Duty 11.
Yeah.
And it's like
weird
whatever,
season.
man.
It's gonna be a
It's
weird
just-
season.
Yeah, it'll be a
Yeah.
weird season. Yeah, it's whatever.
Mathematics.
I don't even take Call of Duty seriously anymore.
Yeah,
It's just not what it used to be.
Before, yeah.
Hathematic said Fable 4. Like that's
Yeah.
that's
That was
something
out
I
of
never
nowhere
thought.
though.
Yeah.
Yeah. Talk about franchises that I thought were dead and in the ground.
Oh.
I'll take it though. I love Fable. I'll play it. But yeah, it's definitely an interesting play. And you know what, Aura, you might just be right about Bungie putting that out on purpose, dropping the stasis there to show 343 Big Daddy Bungie is still in the house. As it were. But speaking of stasis, we've been going the entire show. We haven't really talked about the things that we got to see during that stasis trailer. So we'll do a bit of a roundtable here and get you guys' thoughts, starting with you, Tony. You saw stasis. What did you like about it? What did you dislike about it? How do you feel about the new darkness-based subclass?
Oh man. So I only saw it once, and like I said, it's been crazy. I need to watch it again, so I'm better prepared for this question next time. But what I did see was, I mean, it's just gonna be OP. Now a little bit of context too, because like I'm not against that. Whenever Bungie brings out, now this is from a PvP mains perspective. Number one,
Yes.
what you've seen online, the memes, I generally feel the same way. Now, this is not a bad thing, the memes. I'm just saying the memes in the sense of like, on one side it's like PvE, man, everybody's super happy, because we like to have that power fantasy, especially in PvE.
Yeah.
Right. And then it was just like you'd have the PvP players over here, and it's all sad faces, like feels bad, man, and things like that. So it's just like, I'm excited. Looking at some of the context surrounding DLC drops and how it ends up playing out meta-wise, balance-wise in PvP, especially when we're talking about subclasses and abilities. Everybody remembers hammers, how OP hammers were. Everybody remembers Spectral. Everybody remembers Nova Warp. When it drops, it's supposed to be hot. It's supposed to be hot. I'm okay with that. I hope all PvP players recognize this is a universe here. The sandbox is gonna be affected by these drops, and if we look at the trends, just be okay with just having some fun for the first maybe even 6 months. It's fine, but it does look like some of those abilities, that goddamn grenade, man, it might be a little oppressive to start off with, and we'll go from there. But that was kind of the biggest thing. It was kind of like, flags for me. And I can't even really say red flags, just flags for me that we should be looking out for. It kind of speaks a little bit to what Aura was talking about before, the kind of direction that we're going with, gunplay. And I hope this isn't the case. Hopefully they bring that balance back a little bit, but like actual gunplay, especially primary gunplay, by the way, Aura, is an important thing. I'm glad that you finally picked up a hand cannon, dog. I'm glad that you maybe put 35k on a hand cannon sometimes, and then we can talk.
Y'all hear that? Sounded like a shot being fired.
I'm dying almost at 1,000, and it's been 7 days, buddy.
It's a little bit of a shot, like a hand cannon shot, if you will, But yeah, I'm with R on that in the sense of I hope that they will continue to try to make sure that they find that that delicate balance between ensuring that gunplay is prominent, I guess, like gunplay is prominent, important still in the Crucible, and that it doesn't all come down to just stasis. But the concept, it looks like the execution, it looks amazing. It really does. That's kind of my roundabout on it. By the way, it's dope. It's dope. By the way, sorry, it's dope that stasis is based around. As someone who is an enthusiast with regards to astrophysics, physics, and the things like that, it's dope that stasis is supposedly based around the manipulation of space time. I think that's really dope.
Right.
And I hope we get, by the way, some sort of special, dodge or something on a Titan. I know everybody hates Titans, but it's just, and nobody wants to be on Team Titan, like publicly. But you know, everybody else has their own unique type of like dodge, you know, and I hope, you know, Titans get some sort of, you know, space-time magic themselves as well. So
we got to a good glimpse of what the Warlock and the Hunter's ability were in regards to stasis, and all I remember seeing was the Titan, like the body becoming ice and slamming the ground. I think like a giant wall was created, but I didn't get to see, like, does that do damage? Does that just create? Is that May from Overwatch? Are we just getting an ice, like, is that what it does? So, like, there's a couple questions I have. We also don't know if any exotics were on those characters. There was the one Hunter, I think it was a Hunter knife that that suppressed a super and then froze it after that, or something along those lines. Perhaps
I'm
that's
sure
an
that'll
exotic.
be fine.
Yeah, perhaps that's an exotic. I mean, also that functions under the assumption that there's not that much aim assist or magnetism correcting it.
Oh,
and
come on,
that
Aura.
was aim. Well, no, because
I mean,
for instance,
This is Destiny, dude.
Black. He's trying to stay neutral. I see him. He's trying.
I
so
feel
hard.
it.
You know, he's
Top Tree Dawnblade has a melee that chased me from work to my front door. Okay.
Yes.
You know what's
Middle
wrong about
Tree,
that? You know I
Middle
play
Tree
Top
Arc
Tree.
Warlock has a melee that also you can maneuver, but doesn't have any kind of tracking associated with it. So I don't know if this one does or not.
Warlocks have a slow melee, man. That's
man.
the counter.
It's
Come
so
on, man.
slow that it literally followed me 20 miles to and from my work.
It's just the Amazon delivery, man. It comes with that Prime guarantee.
Literal.
It was your Prime Day.
Yeah,
was your Prime
I
Day.
guess
There
so. Thank you.
Every day.
That's my thing. We don't know quite up with, you know, it was the Flash it was supposed to be. We don't know enough yet. Nervous, yeah. Worried, yeah. Concerned, yeah. Does it look like it's gonna be super fun? If you guys hate me with a fusion rifle, I'm going to freeze every single person dead in their tracks.
Oh boy.
I don't have a problem being hated, dude. I don't. I like having fun, and if that's fun, I'm gonna do it a lot. So we'll see we'll see what when it comes around. I'm curious to see how it plays out. I'm also curious as to whether or not stasis is going to evolve as the universe unfolds. Like, we're going to Europa. It is an ice planet. These are ice abilities. Well, if the darkness takes us to somewhere else, does it change and we go from ice to some other? We still haven't really seen
That's really interesting.
Anywhere else?
a decay class yet.
Yeah.
You know, focused around hive juju and things like the thorn and things that do damage over time that a lot of people had been speculating was going to be the next thing that came down the pipeline, you know? So is this also something that's going to evolve as we maneuver throughout this narrative?
Right.
So
Luke Smith did talk about our enemies' abilities evolving throughout the next year as well.
They did, yeah.
Yeah. So it could stand to reason that we see differences. However, like in PvP, like the PvP map wasn't on Europa and it still was ice. So it makes me think that we'll still see it be ice everywhere. But I would like something that kind of evolved more that way. But stasis as a whole, from what I've seen, they made a big point of saying that you can create with it, right? So how that fits in with all the worlds that we have right now, not only that, but also the Cosmodrome when that comes out, and Europa, like, what will we be able to do? What will be the full functionality of it as we go forward?
Yeah.
That is something that's very interesting.
I'm excited for that too.
Yeah. Raids are going to be weird with
I mean,
that.
We saw we have a grenade that allows you to create platforms that you can then jump off of. And you just know that the jumping puzzle designers at Bungie were slobbering at the options that they could just create from that. So I'm looking forward to it. I'm more excited than I am worried about how these things are going to affect
I wanted to say
the environment.
Yeah. And in the end, you know, and this is again still coming from, you know, someone that still fiends for probably more balance in the Crucible than the average player. Although I say it all the time, and I try to make sure that, because there's just all this air around, like, you know, competitive PvP players and sweats and things like that. It's just like, dude, play the game how you want. We're in quick play. Shit on me with the Bastion. I hate you. I hate you. And I don't think I really have strong really have strong opinions about how you might actually live your life outside of the game, you know? I'm joking. But in the end, just play how you want to play. You know, the game is supposed to be fun. Yes, there does need to be some semblance of a balance around competitive game modes, and also trials, most definitely. But in the end, man, it's just like, as long as people are having fun, as long as we're out here like getting to experience some new cool shit, you know, then that's 100% what I'm for.
Agreed.
And it looks like some cool shit coming in November, man. I'm so excited. Yeah.
Very cool. I think the only other big news in game this week was that they wrestled those beavers back into their dam, and we won't see as many of them as we.
My experience has been dramatically improved.
Good.
Yeah,
that's
same.
crazy.
It is pretty crazy.
Because I never really, you know, it seems as though some players were more impacted, substantially more impacted than others. I rarely got disconnects. I rarely got beavers, by the way. Rarely.
Yeah.
It was the tower. I couldn't go to the tower. I could go anywhere else. It was the tower I got kicked out of I couldn't even land in most cases.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm really glad, really happy for that, you know, because that's all I heard from some of my friends. It's just, I can't even play this game at all. I can't even play it. So
yeah. It's
huge.
What was it? There was a huge thread on it that I understood very little of, but it seemed like it was like one relay that just wasn't jibing with the rest of the network. And so once they figured that out, that it was a hardware issue instead of a software issue, they fixed it, and now it's
they like flicked the switch. They like went into rooms and they were just like, boop. There it is. Got it.
Fixed. That's how this works.
Got it.
Yeah.
I'm the hero.
Yeah. It said they affected East Coasters and I want to say Central folks more than anywhere else. And it was because the relay was like in Virginia or something like that.
Glad they got it worked out, because that was certainly a huge issue on PC. Couldn't go a day without getting beavered.
Button.
One button.
One button. Yep.
One click.
You got the meme of the guy sweating with the two buttons. It's like, fix beavers, don't fix beavers. It's like,
that was that guy who posted the tweet thread.
Well, all right. If that's all the news we've got today, is it time to move on to some audience questions?
I believe so. We really have only 2 questionnaires. I'm going to give Gray Fox the title of King of Questions from here on out.
Yes.
I think that's fair. But Butt Coffee has had a question. He's like, well, I mean, we just answered that one. It was a question for later. With Stasis providing new area of denial, control, and platforming into abilities, how do you think that this will change how players approach Crucible and raid mechanics? And it's going to change it fundamentally.
Absolutely.
And I'll kind of expand on that. Yeah, I'll kind of expand on that a little bit from the PvP side. You know, like anytime abilities like that come into the mix and become kind of a prominent force within the meta, it definitely concerns me a little bit, because the fun in the Crucible is movement. You know, that's also the skill gap as well. But the fun is movement, just holding W. You know, like, yeah, sure, you know, the shotgun meta was oppressive to some degree because people were truly out there mapping with almost everything, but people were moving, having like just across the map. And why is Top Tree Dawn like a really not only is it arguably the strongest PvP subclass, but also why are more people adopting it? You know, Warlock at one point in time was, you know, as far as the numbers of people that were playing Warlock versus Titan versus Hunter, Warlock at one point in time, and for a lot of the time, actually, they always had in the Crucible the lowest numbers. And now Top Tree Dawn is almost exclusively what I see in the Crucible as far as when people are playing Warlock. My point is that is a movement subclass with that double dodge. It is at the premier. It is a premier movement subclass, and so when we're able to move around the map without having to worry about 6 sniper scopes looking at us, you know, and everybody pretty much being a god with the sniper, and you just like it worries me. To get back to the question, it worries me just a little bit. You know, it concerns me a little bit that we're bringing in abilities that are, you know, substantially, you know, area denial,
Mhm.
you know,
Mhm.
abilities, to make movement around the map even more of a negative, you know. Like I don't
Yeah.
want aggression. Aggression should always be, you know, smart aggression, but aggression should always be another like skill gap, basically. You know, the aggressor ends up coming out on top if they approach the angle or the interaction correctly, strategically. And so I'm concerned that that, you know, people are going to be able to stop me from moving around the map even more than they already do.
Yeah.
You know, because I've
Yeah.
had to, that's a lot of quick play for me is figuring out, okay, how am I going to get around this sniper lane? Oh, I can't even do that. Let me go this through. I won't even take that lane. I'm going to go here now, you know? So it's just like, that's a concern for me a little bit, most definitely.
I think
PvP wise.
it also brings in like if creating a platform to jump on is one thing because you may be able to create advantageous angles that you wouldn't
Mhm.
normally be able to create, you know.
True.
The other thing is having to jump over any kind of walls puts you at a significant disadvantage because inner accuracy
Mhm.
is just not
Yeah.
really there unless you want to sacrifice one of the mods on your weapon, and even then can kind of be wonky. So now you're at a disadvantage in that engagement where you're actually having to jump over something, and if there's somebody on the other side who has any idea what they're doing, you're most likely not going to come out on top of that, just because in some cases the animation of actually doing the jump takes time away from you being able to fire your gun. Like a hunter jump, you really can't fire the very second you hit the jump button. There's some weird thing that goes on
Yep.
from a physics standpoint that prevents you from being able to fire right away. So this could be, I guess my main thing would be how easy is it for me to put down these walls and take out these platforms? I mean, I can take down a Titan barricade in 1 or 2 fusion bolts, depending on what kind of barricade they're using. The one you can shoot through is 1, the other ones are 2. Is it a 2-shot for me to take it down? I'll do it every time. Like I'll sacrifice the ammunition to create an angle that which I can then have the advantage. So we'll see. It could be important. I mean, you could block off power significantly. You can block off entire, like, I mean, that one thing, it was the size of a door. I don't know if that's the super or
It
the
was
class
pretty big.
ability,
Yeah.
but like if I'm on Jav and I can completely block off A or C like in its entirety with one wall, like that's a pretty big advantage.
Yeah.
A lot of
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
Yeah, and so then we're talking about, you know, counters at that point, and particularly counters on some, because, you know, like a Titan barricade, for example, you know, there's only specific, if you really want to knock that down fast, you know, you with abilities, for example, and if we're talking about nades, for example, you know, there's only certain subclasses or even classes, you know, that have you know, area of denial or area of effect nades that can take out or you know, take out people behind shields or at least push them away from their shields, et cetera, et cetera. So all I'm saying is, I wonder what type of counters we're gonna have access to, guns, you know, abilities, in order to, you know, kind of address that, no matter what class we're on, in particular. Something else I was gonna say was, taking it back to the PvE side. I think Link had kind of alluded to this a little bit. One thing that I'm super excited about, though, and I guess this extends over to PvP as well, because man, I'm all over the place. Heat rises. Sorry, it's or like he always puts all these things in my head, man. I'm trying to like hold it until like I finally get my chance to talk. But
He's good at
when
that.
you're like creating those platforms and things like that, it kind of reminds me of how Heat Rises has changed the game a little bit, specifically in trials and particularly with sniping. So if we're talking about PvP, we're talking about platforming now, you know, that automatically my brain goes to the fact that with Heat Rises, I'm getting sniped in places I didn't even know existed. You know, Giggs is up in the air doing some weird shit, you know? And it's just like, I just get popped by T1 Riot in some weird place. I didn't even know that you could even get there, and he's off the radar. So that's both a concern for me, but also it's fun. It's cool to see people. I love that. That's great for content. It's great for, just you know, stoking people's, you know, creative genius on different angles that no longer that we didn't even have access to before. And so that, you know, let me push that into PvE. And what Link was saying a little bit was, when we're talking about jumping puzzles, man, you're gonna see some big brains out there, brains out there with these new platforming abilities, and even to some degree as well with the area of denial abilities as well. It's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be a lot of fun to watch people really dig into those mechanics. And of course, with the new content as well, man, it's just going to be, I just feel like we're going to have content for a long time with this one.
Yeah, absolutely.
The next question comes from Gray Fox. Gray Fox, about a month later, what are your thoughts on sunsetting?
Ooh. Why don't we start with you, Tony?
Oh boy. What are my thoughts about a month later? What are my thoughts on sunsetting? Was that the question?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh man.
About a month after they announced it.
What do you feel about having to say goodbye to your mind benders?
Okay. Well, you have to angle it so strongly.
That's the question, right?
The
Is
night.
Spellwinter's
Yeah.
going to replace your
Oh man, so we're talking about just general sunsetting. I feel better about it today than I did, a month, 2 months ago, whatever else. The main, the hugest, the biggest. I think that in general, like if I get out of my unbiased state of mind, I think in general sunsetting is great. Especially for weapons, I think sunsetting is great. As long as Bungie, fills in the gaps, gives me something as an alternative. It doesn't have to be it doesn't have to be. I certainly don't want a reskinned Mindbenders, by the way. I think that's lazy. I'll take it because I love my Mindbenders, but I'm just saying I would prefer to have something like on a scale. If it were a reskin Mindbenders, I'll take that. Up here, I'll take another aggressive frame with similar or the exact same perks, but just a different gun, and it's effective. I'll take that. But what I prefer is them to just give me something that surprises the shit out of me that I just use.
Yeah.
Like that's what I'd prefer. Do I think Bungie can do it? Of course. Do I think they will? I don't know if they have the resources, energy, time, like to fill in the gaps, all these gaps, because we're just talking about me specifically with my Mindbender. So that's a great point to start with. Or we're just talking about me specifically. Like they take Aura's Erentil away, that's a particular gun that he loves. A lot of people love a variety of different guns that are very effective specifically for the Crucible. Well, of course, we can extend this to PvE as well. They're going to end up being sunsetted that can't be used in in-game activities. And if they can't be used in in-game activities, that the majority of the people, including myself, are not going to use them even in, like regular light. I'm not going to use it in quick play, because especially me being a competitive player, I want to be the best I can with what I have to use in the most I guess
where light level matters.
Yeah, where light level matters, basically. Yeah, most definitely. Impactful settings. So anyway, my point is, those are the tiers. I hope that we can get the replacement, but I think overall the concept of weapon sunsetting is a great idea, specifically right now when we've had Mindbenders since the start. We've had spare rations, obviously, for a long time as well. I was really skeptical about armor. 100% skeptical about armor, but those have been alleviated for me now because the raids, and I feel like that was just a beautiful decision. It alleviated so many different things, my boredom to some degree as well. Dude, I'm actually excited to go back and run those old raids. I'm actually excited about that, and it's not because anything has really changed. I still have access to those raids. Sure, I actually get some loot from it now, and that's kind of huge. But also, it just kind of stoked a fire that I didn't even know was there, of me missing that content. So now I'm not as concerned about armor sunsetting as well. So in general, the whole conversation, in my opinion, around sunsetting has changed. And I think we're looking pretty good. So now it's just up to Bungie to give us, it's two things. It's up to Bungie to give us replacements for our favorite weapons and things like that that operate in at least effective ways. It doesn't have to be substantially similar, but at least effective ways that we enjoy. And then the other thing is to address Mountaintop. Thank you.
Yeah, I'd say I pretty much agree with that.
To answer your question, Aletha is Erentil, just a different name. So I'll be looking for an Aletha with firmly planted rangefinder or accelerated coils under pressure at high impact reserves. I'll be looking for my role on an Aletha because it's the same. It has a different name. It's a solar instead of a void, but it's the same bolt pattern. It's the same gun. So that's kind of like sunsetting is frustrating, especially given the fact that some of the perks on some of the newer weapons haven't really blown me away.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I haven't really been moved by whatever is on these like Killing Wind and Unrelenting or Relentless or whatever it's called. Like none of them have really choices. Even stuff that was on in Season of Dawn with Martyr's Retribution, having this like solar ability coming out of the grenade itself, like nothing has really blown me away to the point where it's like, yeah, this is better than my slide shot rapid hit spare or my opening shot rangefinder dire. Like nothing has been able to step in and replace it. All I'm doing is getting reskinned versions. I'm going from one 150 to another 150 with either the same perks or perks I would have preferred on the other gun that just didn't roll for me.
Yeah.
So that's all I'm doing. I mean, same thing with like Swarm of the Raven. I'm using an interference, I think, grenade launcher now that has spike grenades and auto loading holster and whatnot. Like it has really come into using a different name that performs in the same exact manner.
Yeah. Man, speaking of those new perks, I really want to like them. I don't find myself seeking them out though in order to complete something. The only one that I can think of that I've actually tried for a while is Sympathetic Arsenal, just because it reloads everything on a kill or after a final blow. But other than that, I'm not like Killing Wind.
I feel like I find value in perks a lot of people don't find value in. Like I feel like Overflow and Demolitionist and Crucible are actually pretty important and perform really well. And I'm still having a hard time justifying some of these newer perks. Like I'm a goofball that will find utility in many things. I haven't found it in these seasons in the past.
No, I'll be a devil's advocate just a little bit. I mean, this is a dry content time, right? Generally. Maybe they're just tossing these things in right now just to get a feel. Yeah, just to get a feel, you know. So while they certainly don't impress me as well. I'd like to think that they're just kind of like tossing around some stuff, you know, and that we'll get some more impactful perks that we love, things like Rapid Hit. And they introduced Rapid Hit, oh boy, you know. Hopefully we get more Rapid Hits. Like you said, Overflow is top tier. People just don't, you know, it doesn't register for them as much. So hopefully we, you know, can continue to get perks like that when they eventually come out. But I hope this is just kind of just the experimental phase, the Crucible Labs phase with regards to some of these new perks.
This is their White Album.
Yeah.
Thank you for that, Dan. That was on point.
I dig that.
I'm fine. Like you brought up earlier, I've just kind of gone through my vault and been like, I don't need this, and I'm just tossing things out because they're not going to be able to hit the cap. I don't know why my brain says it has to hit the cap in order for me to have fun with it, but that's what it's doing. And so
because that's what you're going to be doing most of the time anyway, though. Like for me, when I jump into private matches with random loadouts, like that's why 95% of my vault is in there.
Yeah,
is because I'll end up with this Atalanta D that was a reroll during Season of the Forge, and I'll be forced to use it for a game, and I'll have fun. Be like, this gun's pretty cool. It's pretty neat. I'll put it back, and I'll wait until the next time its number is called for things like that. But I don't, you know, I feel like my PvE loadout for top tier content's already determined by grenade launcher, SMG, Anarchy. And like, here we go. That's no matter what I do, it's going to be some combination of these ones because nothing else can perform in that manner. So until that changes, most of my vault is just for, you know, shits and giggles.
Yeah. Pyro did have an interesting Pyro Gaming had like a very interesting tweet the other day where he called this possibly the best PvE sandbox we've had in a while. Outside of, I think, linear, he called for like linear fusions to maybe get a bump, and also scouts.
Yeah, definitely agree with that.
You'd probably have like a pretty solid sandbox overall. What are your thoughts on that?
You'll never convince me hand cannons are in a good spot in PvE. Never. If I'm two shot and dregs, you'll never have me convinced that the meta is in a good spot for hand cannons. They are horrific in performing in PvE right now.
And my thing is, I don't even need them to be like even mid tier. Just give me small arms back. Just give me small arms was like my favorite. Oh my god, you give me small arms back, Bungie. You'll see me in some boring ass strikes for like 4 hours on stream, just popping them dregs heads, bro, in one shot. You know, so it's just like I don't even need them. See, it's complicated. The meta, like I don't underestimate the amount of energy, resources, time, thought that goes into, you know, especially the PvE meta, if we're just talking about that, you know. But we can alleviate a little bit of that just by giving us things like small arms, like certain days of the week. It doesn't matter what primary you use, you know, we're going ham, you know. So if you really want your hand cannons to be on point, that go ahead, Aura.
If I'm running in Nightfall, I shouldn't have to rely on a small arms modifier, which wouldn't exist because there's only negative modifiers for Nightfalls. And I shouldn't have to rely on damage perks like Rampage, Kill Clip, or Multi Kill Clip to get to the point where I can one-shot a red bar enemy. Like
to get a good feeling.
These are devastating weapons in Crucible. These are 3-tap kills on Guardians in Crucible. I can't one-shot a Dreg. I think the only enemy you can one-shot in PvE is like a Thrall.
A Thrall.
And it's like, so I don't know. Maybe it's because I've become like a hand cannon main that I get so frustrated
that's
about this.
Dude, that's why I was grinning right here, by the way. This is what this grin was. You know, because it's like my boy out here talking about hand cannons, man.
Tony met me. I was using Blast Furnace with Kill Clip Feeding Frenzy is when we met.
Yeah, bro. I met him and he was legit a dad, bro. Legit. Now he's coming back around. All you see is just this grin out of my face, man. Anytime this man just talks about hand cannons, I'm just like,
that's it.
That's my boy.
You go, boy. I'm so proud of you. God damn, I'm so proud of you. You just done grown.
But it's true. It's true. The thing that gets me the most is when you go back to D1, you had weapons like the Devil You Know and the Devil You Don't.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
And you had Fatebringer. And these were just devastating one-shot, one-kill move on to your next target that allowed me to be so efficient that I could help people get through content because I wasn't wasting time reloading, having to take cover. It was just instant elimination, and it's been taken away from us on the most precise scale. The most precision weapons are doing the least amount of damage. Think about that. Sniper rifles are doing the least amount of damage they've done in PvE in 4 seasons. Precision weapon. Hand cannons don't do any damage whatsoever in PvE. Precision weapon. Sidearms have a faster TTK than hand cannons do.
They do. They're better hand cannons.
So
yeah, that's hand cannons have been.
I don't mean to rip off of what Pyro said, but I don't think he's fired a hand cannon in a PvE activity recently.
No, you're right. I feel it.
Final question of the night, also kind of feeding into this hand cannon conversation, comes from Hathematics. What would you guys like to see happen to bring balance within weapon archetypes between the same weapon class, such as 110, 140, 150, and 180 hand cannons? How would you balance 140s while making sure Ace wasn't the greatest gun ever made?
That's tough. That's tough, you know, especially with the ace question. I mean, I have some thoughts with regards to just the hand cannon archetype in general, and it is tough. Are they yet able to? No, I guess they wouldn't. I'm trying to think. So 140s, for example, I think that a good balance with them in general would be to make them 2 headshots, 1 body. So just make them slightly more forgiving. That's all. But also in doing so, you give them more impact. You would necessarily have to give them more impact, which, you know, also will play into allowing them to perform a little bit more at range. You know, so the damage fall off will be a little bit better on 140s. So that's like that would be something that would alleviate a lot of the concerns surrounding 140s right now, because one concern surrounding 140s is the fact that you can put on a 140, you could put on a 150, you know, and they generally they're not going to have much, even with 110s. It's not as if they're going to have much range. They're not. There's no distinctive difference between those sub archetypes, you know, to justify using a 140 over a 150, you know, specifically when we're talking about range, but just in general as well. So, you know, make 140s more forgiving, but how does that end up playing out with Ace? I don't know. That's a really good point. And that's probably the more complicated question about this whole buff, or the more complicated concern about this whole, you know, buff that I'm suggesting. 110s, man, they gotta have some range, man. They just have to. They just have to. Like literally the only 150 that is viable right now, and that it's barely viable, is a Duke with Rampage, because at Rampage times 110. I'm sorry, 110. Thank you. Because at Rampage times 1, you can 2-tap. You know? 2-tap.
And that hitbox is awful. The Duke's hitbox might be one of the smallest hitboxes in. But when I started using a hand cannon, I used a Duke first because I was like, if I can get good with this, I can get good with anything. Because the Duke is you mess up, you're gone. It's over. You're not coming. There's no recovery.
Honestly, I remember seeing that on stream, and we were talking about it, and I was like, "Who done? Number one, lied to you, boy." And then number 2, who decided that they wanted to put you through that? I was like, you know, I mean, if he's a believer in that theory, okay, all right. I'm so proud of you, man.
But get rid of 110s, remove them. Get rid of 180.
You might be right. And with 180s, yeah, I mean, I've never been a believer in 180s, but 180s are here to stay because, you know, people really love 180s specifically on controller. They really do.
Yeah.
So
They
I don't
do.
see really a way to get 180s get the type of love I've never seen out of 110s. I rarely ever see folks like, man, I really love 110s. 180s, like I said, I don't really see how we get rid of those. 180s would need some love as well. So if we say that 110s maybe need a range, a range boost, 140s, 2 head, 1 body. And
Yeah.
then we can talk about concerns with regards to ace. 150s, they're fine. Honestly, they're just fine. I can't really justify looking at them before or even at the same time as the others. And then 180s, man, I don't really know, because honestly, I can't stand them. I hate them. So number one, I'm a little bit biased, but I don't really even know how. I don't know. Or
The thing about 180s is that sidearms perform better than they do at the range that they're supposed to be effective at.
Yeah.
So there's no, like, if anybody's out there loving 180s, put a sidearm on and watch how much you just absolutely shred through people before they even have a chance to react, because how quickly they put people down. And then of course brings up probably the 180 that I have a fond feeling towards, which is Malfeasance. But Malfeasance is an exotic, so, and it has a perk on it where landing 5 shots makes the person that you hit explode, which makes it not really have a range drop off.
Yes.
Because that 5th shot does so much damage that it
always
has a range drop off on your initial shots, but that last one, it's so. I think we can have some outliers in the fact that they're exotics be outliers. But in terms of 180s, like Trust and what's the other one is Nature the Beast, one of the other 180s this season.
Yep.
Yeah.
I just feel like if you're actually going to engage with somebody and use a sidearm.
Yeah. It kind of obviates that whole sub archetype. Yeah, 100. And like I said, I can think of things for the other sub archetypes, but for 180s, I don't even know what we do with those. And you bring up, go ahead.
I was going to say the things that are glaring outliers right now is Cold Denial being a high impact, low fire rate pulse rifle that is a laser beam. Traditionally, those guns had significant kick to them that made them challenging to use. This thing shoots a straight line. It's like shooting 3 scout rifle shots with no recoil whatsoever. It's insane. And then you've got 600 RPM ARs that are like machine guns right now. So something needs to be done about the amount of damage that they do to make them be a little bit more in line with others. Because I mean, ARs are in a good spot regardless of one you use. Even the 360s and the 450 is the other RPM. They do damage. It so happens that 600s do insane damage and have what feels like no range drop off because the amount of sheer amount of bullets coming out. They do a less amount of damage to the head at 60 meters, but you're getting hit by so many bullets, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
And I'll speak to a couple of those things, because we're kind of just talking about the wider meta now. Man, I love the spot that autos are in. I love even 600s. Love it. Yep. Why? Because they're easy to use. They're easy to get kills with, and it's just like, I don't think it's a bad thing to have a weapon that, just the average player can pick up and to be effective against somebody who's a fucking like a crucible troll like myself, now that being said, people talk about 600 autos like all the time, right? They say they're too strong. R just said, he believes his opinion that they're a bit too strong. That's fair, by the way. For me, I don't care. I'll still gun them for the most part, but I'm not like most people. I think that most people feel like they're oppressive, I do think that most people feel like they're oppressive. So
that's a lot of bullets, dude. That's a lot of bullets.
Yeah, you're right. And then put
40 to 50 rounds,
and it's just a wrap. That's true. I mean, it was the same argument that people made about hard light too. You remember? It's just like, it's super oppressive because people can just spray it and it's bouncing off the walls, doing massive amounts of damage, and we can't move around the map. So. There's other things, obviously, and I don't want to take away from our specific concern with regards to 600s. There's other things that I would definitely address, Mountaintop, before I'd ever start talking about 600s. But you've got a point. You've got a point. Generally, I've said everybody, you'll be quiet about 600s, but you've got a point. I think it's kind of the elitist in me, to say maybe that 600s, they probably do need to be toned back a little bit.
If it had 36 to 40 rounds, I wouldn't have nearly as much problem as these ones that are in the 48 to 50. If you have overflow on that thing, you're in the 80s. I mean, that's literally walking
Yeah.
around the map holding
Yeah.
the trigger down with no risk involved whatsoever.
No drawbacks at all.
And I'd like to say something as well, like it's interesting some of these like archetypes, so for example, you make sidearms too strong, right? Then it kind of, and this is what happened at the end of D1. You make sidearms
D1.
too strong, then it kind of obviates a lot of hand cannons. Like hand cannons, it is necessarily at the cost, of hand cannons, because they share the same range, share like a kind of a similar TTK. And so sidearms have always been like kind of in a weird spot, when they introduced them. It's kind of the same thing with SMGs, kind of, you make those too strong, then, hand cannons and even sidearms are kind of, like, we're all fighting over that same space. I got to give it up to Bungie, by the way. And I try to do this because, my mind, like everybody's mind, we're always about criticism and, making sure we're calling out. Like Bungie's done an excellent job, in my opinion, with the majority of the sandbox right now. Sidearms are viable.
Would agree. Yeah.
Autos are obviously viable. Hand cannons still put in work, as they always do. Like, of course, we ain't even gonna talk about scouts. Is whatever. Like, okay, we'll give you one. Whatever. We'll give you one. Whatever. They didn't. Fusions are still like putting in work. Snipers are way too strong, but I mean, there's still like quite a bit to be had, balance wise, with regards to this meta. So I want to go ahead and make that point. But yeah. SMGs, hand cannons, sidearms, is kind of what brought it up, is that they're all kind of still viable. SMGs probably not the most viable out of that group, but they all play in the same ranges, and that's another reason why people, whenever hand cannons are too strong, and not balanced with things like autos, that's why we gotta get a lot of pushback. 600s, the same thing, like, because hand cannons and auto rifles play kind of in the same ranges and for the same purpose. So I don't really know where I was going with that. I guess it's just, keep that in mind, that certain archetypes kind of fight for the same spaces. And when certain things get buffed, others get necessarily debuffed. But also just give it up to Bungie, the fact that, we can still use quite a few of these things, because sometimes with how they move on that spectrum, we really can't. Sometimes autos really are just shit, so.
Yeah, I would agree. This has probably been, at least in terms of primary options, one of the better metas that Bungie has put out for D2. There's so many different things that are viable right now. Just because Gnawing Hunger is stupidly good, can shoot forever, seemingly has infinite range, and is the easy cheese gun right now, doesn't mean that there aren't things that can work almost as well or just as well. I would say Bungie did a pretty good job this season, keeping things 1-to-1. Not bad at all. Well, all right, Dan, was that it for all the questions we had?
I believe that those are the questions to be asked.
Those are the questions to be asked today. Well, all right, ladies and gentlemen.
As the Inquisitor.
Cutting it off. He's cutting it off.
We got to get you a judge's gavel so you can go.
Oh, you don't want that.
Right when you want the show to end. Like, shortly after the intro. Welcome to the Planet Destiny podcast. Done. That's it. We got the intro. Well, all right, everybody. Thank you all so much for tuning in to episode 247 of the Planet Destiny podcast. A very special thanks to our guest, Tony. Thanks so much for joining us tonight, man.
No, thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it. It's a pleasure. Invite me back anytime. I love this show.
Oh, anytime.
Anytime. Literally anytime. Dan hit me up. He was like, yo, Tony, are you going to be free? I'm like, gotcha. Literally anytime, man. Anytime. I love it. Thank you.
You are welcome any and every time, my friend. And of course, before we get on out of here, we're going to let you take the opportunity to tell everybody where they can find you, your Twitch channel and all your social medias and all that kind of stuff, so they know where to go to find you and all your plays. And hopefully your live streams where you do nothing but talk about Aura. That's what I want to hear.
I mean, well, one thing I will say is if you watch my stream enough, you will most definitely be able to get some clips. You'll be able to get some clips. Give me 1 second.
Papa Physics rolling through. You can't stop it.
Oh my God, yo, Papa Physics in the building. Yes, yet again.
That's too good. It's too good.
So just the kind of blurb again. My name is Physics, aka Tony. You can call me either one. You can find me on Twitch. I'll be streaming later on tonight. Just got to fix up a couple things, but it's twitch.tv/illPhysics. Same place on Twitter, twitter.com/illPhysics. And whenever you don't find me streaming, generally I'm on Twitter, so you can find me there. But yeah, PvP mainly. A lot of great conversations mainly as well. Like I said, I'm huge on interaction. I'm not going to be that guy that's going to miss your comment. If I do, just type it again because, obviously the chat might be moving or something online. But I love having quality conversations with this community. I love listening to a variety of different perspectives because that's what allows me to grow as a human being and allows me to respond in a thoughtful manner to folks that end up wanting to talk about something. So definitely conversations, interactions, 100%. And then like I said, I'm just grateful that folks are giving me a platform in order for me to kind of talk about things that are important to me, things that are important to my community and the community at large. So that's me, and I look forward to seeing everybody. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Right on, brother. Thanks so much for joining us tonight, man. Great to have you here.
Yes, anytime.
All right, next up, Aura. Where you at, man?
You can find me at twitch.tv/illPhysics, ILLphysics.
Wow.
Find me on Twitter, twitter.com/illPhysics, ILLphysics, dude. Come by, hit that follow button, hear me talk all kinds of trash about all my friends.
You type X.
Kind of facts though.
X. Dan?
Hi, my name's Danfinity. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Danfinity, where the eyes are L's, because the 15-year-old girl still has it. You can also find me on
She's not giving it up.
3 days a
You're
week,
not getting it.
twitch.tv/Danfinity. I'm never getting that handle.
You're never getting it. Sorry.
Never getting it. It's okay. I'm just going to say thank you, though. Thank you to everybody for this week. Y'all have been crazy. I appreciate you.
Yeah, it's been a great time.
Heck yeah.
Right on. And of course, my name is The Black Link. You can find me pretty much everywhere on the internet, Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, all at The Black Link. This week's probably going to be more of the same, just news videos up on the Planet Destiny YouTube channel. And if I have the free time, you'll probably be seeing some, maybe a couple of Destiny 2 live streams and a few Monster Hunter World live streams. Still bouncing between those two games whenever I'm not stuck in the world of Eorzea and Final Fantasy XIV. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that is it for episode 247 of the Planet Destiny podcast, your guide to this week in Destiny. We'll catch you all next week. Bye, everybody.
Yeah, peace, everybody.